Welcome into another special edition of Buff Stampede Radio. I'm Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com on the 24/7 Sports Network, and I am joined by Richard White, a Celtics fan whose son, forever Buff Derrick White, just happened to help Boston to its 18th NBA championship. Richard, as a Celtics fan myself, as you can see here, I'm wearing my Celtics gear today, and I was lucky enough to cover Derrick's time at CU. I'm extremely excited to have you on today. Thanks for taking a little time out of your schedule to do this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So you quickly go from celebrating the Celtics championship to Derrick hosts a basketball academy in Parker, and now he's getting set to compete in the Paris Olympics with USA Basketball. What has this stretch been like from your perspective?
It's been crazy. A lot of things happened to break right, and the overwhelming support from the community and everybody has been really impressive to see.
What were some of your favorite moments during the Celtics championship run?
Just that I got to see a majority of them. I got to see the clincher in Indiana as well as the championship clincher. The parade was something that everybody said, yo, you got to go to the parade and everything, but it was a lot more exciting and crazy than originally indicated.
I saw Derrick actually got to drive a duck boat, correct?
I was just in a commercial, so yeah,
okay.
he did that right after they won. It was pretty crazy. So they had him do that commercial where he got to simulate driving a duck boat.
What was your situation like during the parade? Did you get on one of those duck boats? What were kind of the highlights of that experience for you?
Yeah, we got to ride in the duck boat. The whole family went. So my wife and I went, Derrick, Hannah, the two kids, and Christy, as well as his trainer, Marcus Mason. We were all on the duck boat together. We kind of shared the duck boat with Svi Mikhailuk, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Derrick was a consummate professional during his time at CU, and watching from afar, one of the things that stood out to me is just how Derrick has been able to maintain a humble disposition and continue to be a great teammate. Is it difficult once you get established in the NBA? I would imagine there's a lot of people that are trying to get a piece of you.
No, I mean it's you just have to do time management. Try to be there as best you can. I know a lot of people want a lot of people want your time, and he does a real good job of giving out the time and greeting people and everything. But the community really has come really alive. Just if you ever go to be at a Celtic game in Boston and you get there, for shoot around right before the game starts, he gets one of the louder ovations when he comes out to take practice shots.
That's awesome. When did you become a Celtics fan?
I've always been a Celtics fan. I was born in Boston, right in the middle of their 11 championships and 13-year run. So I mean, I've always cheered and kept an eye on the Celtics. With the that 3.5-year hiatus when he was with San Antonio, but then he got traded to Boston. It was like the best of all worlds.
Kind of going back to that time, the Bill Russell era, how old were you during that?
I was born in 1960, so I was right smack dab in it. So, they went on that run pretty much right after I was born. So it was pretty crazy. So, my dad used to take me to the barbershop where they would go, and so I was around them. I didn't really realize that until after the fact.
Did you ever get a chance to watch Bill Russell in person?
No, not on. I never went to a game,
Okay.
but
What was it like in Boston around that time, just in terms of his star? And obviously he was activist as well, and just kind of what did he mean to the city, and as a young person kind of growing up around that?
I mean, his perseverance was very high. I mean, everything wasn't exactly easy, there, but he had his team, his teammates. Red Auerbach was a big proponent and everything, for that, and they just went out, they played for each other, and they played for the city, and they established the culture which still remains today.
Did you have some favorite Celtics teams before Derrick got traded there?
Yeah, I was a big JoJo White fan. So when JoJo was playing in the 70s, and I was always there. I tried to be, I tried to be like JoJo. We had a youth basketball team. We were the Celtics, and I had a jersey, 10 with white on the back. So it was as close as I could to, in that time getting a Celtic jersey. I mean, nowadays you can get the jersey pretty much with anybody's number and name on it. So that was pretty cool. I did get an autograph from JoJo. He said, "Drive on, see you in the NBA." So JoJo was close. Derrick got there, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah. How much basketball did you play growing up?
I played all the way up until a senior, and then I played in some men's leagues and stuff right after I moved here to Colorado.
With that love for the game, was Derrick, did he grow up with a basketball in his hand? What did the early beginnings look like for his basketball playing days?
Anything with a ball. So he played baseball, he played basketball, he played football, and depending on whatever the season was, that's what he played. And he pretty much played close to three sports. Even in high school, he played baseball, tennis, and basketball his freshman year. Um, so he's always had a ball, and he kind of went full time baseball, I mean, full time basketball after the ninth grade. Um, Ninth grade, they didn't have a whole lot of students because it was a first year school, and then the second year, the core group that included Bobby Dahlbeck, came into the school. So he kind of took a back seat in baseball. So he just decided that he would just concentrate on basketball going forward.
Most out there listening are aware of Derrick's journey in college. You mentioned his high school days there at Legend High School, going from being a 6 foot combo guard and then getting that growth spurt, becoming an All-American at UCCS. When Derrick decided that he was going to transfer for his final season of college basketball, what did that recruiting look like? And what did Tad Boyle and his staff do in that process to land him?
So that was before NIL. That's before the portal. So we were completely unawares of what actually it took to go through that process. We had many discussions internally. Should he transfer? Should he stay? I guess, I mean, after the fact, I guess, it was coming after his sophomore year that people were looking at him to potentially transfer, but we were so new and naive into the process that we didn't do anything after the sophomore year. But then, Marcus Mason helped us go through and manage the different things you have to go through to get into a training, to get into transferring. It's kind of weird because, I mean, Derrick had to actually walk into Coach Culver's office and tell him that he needed to be released so that he could try and to initiate the transfer process. Um, and then when we got the visit to CU, it was pretty. It was, once again, we didn't know exactly what we were doing, so we went there. He got to play some open runs with some of the players there. They showed us the facilities, and it was pretty mind-boggling, because coming from D2 Colorado Springs, the facilities are completely way over the top when you get into the D1 realm. So um, we thought, okay, they just show us, and then after that we go home and everything. And so my wife had an appointment somewhere, so she went there, and then Derek and I were finishing up, and that's when Tad offered, and so we had to call Colleen back, and so he could sign the paperwork, because he was sold after the first visit.
Like you mentioned, this is pre-transfer portal, so Derrick actually had to sit out a year in redshirt, and so he practiced with the Buffs. And those of us that were attending those practices were like, okay, this is a special talent here. Do you ever think back and go, gosh, what would it have been like if Derrick had been able to play with Josh Scott at CU?
We have. It's funny you mentioned Josh. So we see Josh all the time. I mean, him and Derek are still great friends today. And when Josh comes back into the States from Japan, he usually goes and sees Derek, and the discussions around the dinner table with those two is it's incredible. The thing, and Josh was like, oh my gosh, we what we could have done and everything. And it would have been nice to see, but I don't know if in the long haul, if that would have benefited Derek as much. It would have benefited Josh and CU and everything, but out of that 1 year of not playing and working the weights hard, the weight program, Steve is like incredible. Put a lot of strength, muscle, and weight on Derek during that time. It also gave him, like you said, you got to see those practices. I mean, those are kind of, I never saw practices. Derek doesn't even like talk about them or everything, but between some of the CU, journal guys that I know, they were like, oh, he's doing really well, which was a great learning experience, because he was kind of like the practice star for the opposing team. And so all the things that they tried to implement to defend that star, they threw at Derek in practice. So a lot of things that he sees now wasn't anything new, because in practice he saw that firsthand. So that was a great experience, and Tad did a great job bringing him along slowly, so that he could get comfortable and he could get better at all the different skills of basketball.
What memories stand out when you think back to that next season, the 2016-17 season, when Derek was able to suit up and play with the Buffs?
I mean, just that he got an opportunity to play at the highest level. I mean, the Pac-12 had a lot of talented people who ended up going in pros. So, every night there was always a battle. It was and it was a learning experience, because they got off to a poor start in the conference play. They lost like 7 in a row or something like that, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like the UCCS all over again, where they just got off to a poor start. But then things changed, and it started clicking, and he started being more assertive, and they started winning. So, I mean, he had a number of things. The things was like the dunk against Utah, the backbreaking 3 hit against Cal, the block against Xavier. That was like the first main one where he kind of got on people's radar. And then the 30 plus points he scored against Arizona after he sprained his ankle in the Pac-12 tournament.
Well, it's great that Derrick has continued to show this pride towards his time at CU. And I was talking with Coach Rubisam from the TBT team, and he said that Derrick really helped out, land some of the guys to assemble that roster that just advanced to the Elite Eight of the TBT. My wife and I were out in Wichita last Saturday to watch their game against the Kansas State alumni. And that's such a fun event. I would imagine if Derrick didn't have USA basketball, he'd probably be a little closer to the squad right now.
Uh, Definitely. Yeah, Zach came out. It's like one of the playoff games. So there was like several CU and friends came out. Josh was there, and they were talking around the dinner table all about the TBT and who to get and try to get try to help put together the team because they really you know they want to put a good face for the Buffaloes and on the nation. So you can get a lot of publicity when your alumni do really well in this tournament.
Which Buffs have you enjoyed watching since Derrick got drafted back in 2017?
Um, I mean, so like people they play with, because like George had another year after Derrick,
Mm-hmm.
and the time we were in Texas, we somehow managed to always run into George, so that's pretty cool. Um, the point guards after Derrick, McKinley Wright, um, KJ Simpson, um, Tristan Da Silva. I mean, there's a lot of buffs that are going to go places. Uh, Cody Williams is like a different one because usually Tad doesn't usually get and go, the one and done route. He gets and he develops, and then it kind of goes. So it'd be interesting to see how it all works for him. So I mean, Orlando's like Team Colorado. They got Mosley coaching, and they got Tristan Da Silva. He's doing really well, and they really love him there. So that's gonna be quite a battle in the upcoming years between the Celtics and the Magic.
Like you mentioned earlier, Derrick began his NBA career with the San Antonio Spurs, quickly established himself as a starter and a versatile player in the NBA. Before he got to Boston, what stands out when you think about that stretch of him developing and kind of growing into the player he became with San Antonio?
He was always, like what he says, he tries to do whatever the team needs. Um, Tries to fit in. He tries not to ruffle feathers. Um, so I mean, basically everything he's kind of doing now is he did at San Antonio, but the media wasn't really following San Antonio back then, so they didn't really notice. Um, they were all kind of shocked when he had 36 against the Nuggets in Game 3. So he's he just goes about controlling what he can control, going out and, I can only do what I can do and be the best Derrick that I can be, and to basically try to win at whatever means necessary, and then let the chips fall where they may. I mean, he kind of understands he's not going to be uh, super mega popular in the grand scheme of the NBA landscape because there's always some flashier other players. But as long as you are winning more games than you're losing, um, you know, scoring more, as a team, scoring more points than the other team, that's all that matters, and that's not really all he cares about.
Where were you when you got the news that Derrick was being traded to the Celtics in February of 2022?
I was in my office, um, I was working, and then he called and said that he was being traded. I asked where, and he said Boston. So we talked a little bit because it was like hectic for him trying to figure out all the different machinations and stuff. Then his agent called and got into a little bit more in depth. And Boston's like the perfect place for him. It had a lot of Spurs personnel on the Celtics. Will Hardy was Derricks' first ever coach in summer league. Several of the training staff people were still there. Ime Udoka was there. So it was kind of a smoother transition, off the court, and then on the court, he had to get over the wow factor of playing with Tatum and Brown, and the expectations that come with Boston, where yeah, you can win, but if you don't win a championship, it doesn't really count in their eyes.
The fact that Derek, Jason, Jalen, and you could throw in Al Horford. I think Sam Hauser was on the team as well. They got that experience of playing in the 2022 NBA Finals against the Warriors. Did that help them quite a bit, that experience, as they went back into the finals this summer?
I mean, they did play in those games, but a lot of the people, like you mentioned, Derek, you mentioned like Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard was there. Um, they didn't have defined and consistent roles that they do now with the Celtics, and they're just the type of players that they go about, they do what they can do, and it fits for the team. Plus, their teammates have the absolute trust in them to perform at any level, even when they may be going through a slump. They still trust and give them and look for them for their particular shots.
Derek's ability to block shots as a 6'4" guard is pretty incredible. Would you say that's the attribute that makes him the most unique in the NBA right now?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think his the block shots, because they're not necessarily all blocking smaller guards or doing that. They're chase down blocks on bigger people. They're in your face blocks against 7-footers. I mean, he had one against Miles Turner, an opening play. He got Derek Lively. So I mean, he just he's got incredible quick hands, and since they changed blocks to where if you're going up to shoot and you slap down and you knock the ball, that's considered a block. I mean, in the past it might have been considered a steal, but so I think that added to the increase of blocks. But either way, a deflection, a steal, or a block is a good defensive stat to keep track of.
You have a big following on social media as well, at RamblinRec34 on Twitter/X. That can sometimes be dangerous territory for parents of athletes. How have you managed to keep a positive tone on there? Is it as simple as just don't feed the trolls?
Sometimes it's inevitable, because the trolls are pretty thirsty and can grab hold of anything you say and twist it. The main thing is I just try to put out actual data points, because if you get into people's feelings and biases and whatever, then you're never going to win. You just got people yelling into the void. So so as long as I put out stuff that actually happened, you can to me, there's not really much you can say other than make yourself look foolish arguing something that happened. I mean, some of the things that really kind of get me, and I have to watch it, is when people just it's like grade school stuff, but nah, I mean, that kind of stuff where so it's like, okay, you can like who you like, but that doesn't take away the fact that Derek won a championship. Derek went to the Olympic Games. I mean, there's other people that could have gone. And it's like FIBA all over again, because he had that same thing when he worked his butt off in practice, and Coach Krzyzewski, said, he's good enough to be on this FIBA team. So, but then, the grand nation of people, want to pick apart, why wasn't this guy or that guy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you just want to say who the 12 best players, then put the 12 best players on there. That's not how you make a team. Because as we saw with the Celtics, as we saw with the Nuggets, you needed a team atmosphere to actually win a title. Because there's a lot of talented players in the NBA, and Luka Doncic is amazing. Trae Young is amazing, but you know, you get to a point where everybody has amazing, but can you win? And the only way you win is if you sacrifice. The only way you win is if you give up shots that we know you can make, but for the betterment of the team, you got to make that extra pass. And I'm hoping that the Olympic team gets to that level too.
Derek and USA Basketball are set to begin group play in the Paris Olympics against Serbia this Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Mountain Time. Richard, do you have any game day traditions when you're getting ready to watch Derek in a big game?
Usually, I just send him a quick text before the game, telling him to play hard, do well defensively, make your impact, on that end of the floor. Dare to be great, which is his slogan, and that I love him, and then that's it.
Awesome. Well, this was a lot of fun for me, and it's fun to see Derek continue to embrace the CU ties and continue to flourish on and off the court. Richard, again, I greatly appreciate you for coming on here.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right. And I appreciate everybody out there for tuning in.